Hey, hello. So this will be for the high scores, the function for our game. So I didn't show it last meeting, but it would look like this. So I'll click on play. I have a high scores button here. Tapos, if I click on it, it will show the high scores here in descending order. So highest high score is at the very top. As we see here, it's point 2 with 19. And then if I click on any of these difficulty buttons here, it will start the game, and then high score will be gone, the buttons here. It will show up again sa game over screen. So if I click on things here, say I scored 11, I'll let that fruit fall. And then I can enter my name here, and then save it sa high scores. If I click on the high scores, it's not here yet. So if I save my name here, say poi 4, it should be after poi 3 here. So if I I'll enter poi 4 here, and then I'll click on save, click on high scores, then it's there. If I close this panel or pop up, and then restart the game, our high scores are still there, so it persists. Even if I go outside the game, if I click out of play, and then I click play again, our high score persists here. So point 4 there is at 11. So we'll do something like this with player prefs, no? And some UI elements. Okay. Close this, and then we'll go back to where we are. So our example last time was just until difficulty buttons, right? And then if we fail to click a fruit, it falls to the sensor. Um, oh, there will be the game over screen, and then there will be this. No, actually, I didn't delete the save button. Yeah. So let's delete that save button for now. So that's where we are right now. So what we want to do here is first now we'll create the sort of pop up for the high score, and then as well as the high scores button. No, that shows the panel. Okay, so for the panel, we'll go here. So I'll right click the canvas, go to UI, and then select panel here. So panel is sort of like a pop up, no? So if I focus on panel, so it's that big. We'll minimize this. If you see, this is the sort of anchor points, right? So pwede mo na siya ma-stretch, so it stretches all over, right? The container, like so. Yeah. So we could edit this. Maybe our panel would look like this, or something like this. I want it just to cover the choose difficulty na button, right? So that's the anchors. If we try to zero out the dimensions here, it will follow that anchor, no? The shape of this anchor. So that will be the shape of our panel or our pop-up, right? And then I will rename this as high scores panel. Okay. And then we could also change the color of this panel. I want it to be this big so it covers the buttons, no? So if the panel is shown, we cannot click the buttons. Actually, if I click on play, so there's an overlay of the panel at the top of the buttons, so I can't click the bottom. So we can't accidentally start the game while we're viewing the high scores. So I'll put it like that, and then maybe for the color, I'll make it a little gray for the background, and then you could also touch on the transparency. I have the A here that adjusts the transparency, so I'll make it completely opaque for now. Okay, and then after that, I'll create another text mesh pro here. Text mesh pro. So this one will just be the high score label. So it will just say high scores, right? High scores. I'll do it all caps. High score. High scores And then you could edit the yellow bounding box. And then I'll anchor it sa top left of our high scores na panel. So maybe X position is like 100, maybe 120, like so. And then Y position is minus 50, like that. So it's there. Then I'll change this to Oswald just to match our other font. And then I'll change this to around like a little red, like that. Okay, so that's just for the panel. Okay, we'll or the label rather. We'll also create a button here. So UI button. So this will be a very small button just for the close button. And then it has this text. So I'll just rename it as close. So the close button, we'll put it at the top right, like so. And then I'll zero the position X, position Y. For the width, maybe I'll do 50 by 50. So that's the X button, no? And then for this, see close, instead of button here, I'll just do capital letter X, just for the close. And then I'll change this font as well to Oswald. And then I'll change the font color to red. We can also just move this, I guess, to minus 50 or minus 25, minus 25. So it's inside our panel. 25, like that. May close button siya. So what we'll do later is when we click this button, it closes this pop-up. Okay, but for the content of our high scores itself, I based this on a tutorial. I'll link it in the description later. But what we'll do is we'll create another panel. So UI panel. So this will be list panel. And then we'll make it so that it's around like here up to there. Like that. Okay, and then I'll zero out top and left, right and bottom as well. So that's going to be the list, no? The list where we contain our text field that will have the high scores. The text field here, we want this to be scrollable because what I was thinking here is we'll have a lot of high scores. Tapos if it's just over the field, then pwede talang siya ma-scroll. Something like that. So again, there's a short tutorial for this that I based it on, but I'll follow along one here. So UI will do a scroll view. So scroll view looks like this. It has a horizontal scroll and a vertical scroll. I want this to be stretched that contained siya sa panel mismo. So you could just click on stretch here. So you'll see the anchor points na naka-stretch siya. Then, I'll just zero out everything so it matches. This scroll view, well, hindi ko na siya pag-rename. We won't rename it. We'll just view it as, or leave it as is. For our scrolling, we don't really want to do horizontal scrolling here. So if we don't want any horizontal scrolling, we could just remove the horizontal scroll bar, like so. Pero may missing na area here. What we could do sa sliding area, like the sa vertical scroll bar, is we could stretch it all the way down. Okay, like so. And then zero out. It looks very small like that. So I'll move it like around here para may width. Okay, so it's that big ang scroll area. Also, if we don't have a horizontal scroll, let's go back to scroll view, right? And then we should unclick this horizontal na checkbox para wala kita sang horizontal na scrolling. Okay? We'll see it here as well, na horizontal scroll bar. It's missing. Now, we want to do sa scroll view, there should be a text field inside this. And then we have the content, no? Content of this text field or whatever, you could put an image or anything na UI element. Pero amo ni siya ang it refers to this rect transform. So you see here content, no, rect transform. It refers to this content na object here, no, scroll view, viewport, content. So this is where we will put whatever content that we have um, sa aton nga high score list. Okay? So currently it doesn't have anything. We could add a component here, like a text mesh pro. You could also do create another text mesh pro object here, and then relink its scroll view. Here, no, relink it here. Like for example, go to UI and then text mesh pro. This is new content, for example. And then if you want this new content to be affected by the scrolling later on, you go back to scroll view, and instead of content rect transform here, you could drag in your new context or new content or something. But for now, we'll just stick with content, and I'll just delete this new content. Okay, so we'll add a text mesh pro text UI here na element. Okay, and then this is where we'll put the text, no? So for now, we'll just do a placeholder. So lorem ipsum. We'll just copy an excerpt from lorem ipsum. That. So placeholder text lang siya for now. So it looks like that. And then, if we click on play, so if we click on play, pwede siya ma-scroll, no? Pwede siya ma-scroll. But, it returns. It returns to its place after scrolling. That's because if you see if you see here in the scene view, there is a yellow na box. That's the bounding box for our text. So whenever it is outside of the bounding box, it tries to return. So that's why it bounces back, right? Let's change this to Oswald para mag-match with the others. And then, to make it na it doesn't change, no, or it doesn't go back up, we'll add another component here. This is, let me check my notes. Content size fitter. Content size fitter. So this sort of fits the content, no, of our text. It fits the bounding box to the content. So we don't want to restrict, no. We don't want or to constrain or restrict our vertical fit. So here, sa under vertical fit, we'll choose preferred size. So that's the preferred size of the text. So now, if you see, it follows the preferred text or the preferred size rather of the text, which then our yellow na box here is until where the text ends. But of course, our viewport cuts off the part where it's over or overflowing. No? So if for example, I copy all of this and then I paste it again, so it's now our text is longer. So as you see, our yellow box here is longer as well. Another thing to point out is we have our pivot here, pivot, however you want to call it. The important thing here is that the pivot y here should be equal to 1. So this tells us about where to start the scrolling. So if it is 1, it is at the very top. So it starts at the very top. If it's, for example, 0.5, it starts at the middle point. And if it's 0, it starts at the bottom. So we'll keep that at 1. Okay, so we'll try this again. Okay, so now you can scroll it like so. Tapos pag nag-over na ang yellow box, then if there's no more content there, so it stops scrolling. Yeah, sort of like that. Okay, so you could scroll this with your scroll wheel. It's a little slow, but you could click and drag it around, or you could click and drag the scroll bar here as well. Okay. All right. Next, we'll also do the high score button to when we click on the high score button. Oh, wait. So before that, sorry. So before that, we could you could see that the text dikit gid siya sa panel, right? So you could also do margins. So if you go to the extra settings of our Text Mesh Pro UI, you have margins here. So you could top, left, right, and bottom. Maybe I'll just do a 10 pixel na margin from left and right. No? You could also change the alignment of these, but I'll stick with left align. Okay. Okay, so that I'm satisfied with that. Okay, next. So we'll minimize the high score panel for now. This doesn't have the buttons, doesn't have anything yet, no functionalities yet. We'll code that in later. But for now, let's create another button. So button Text Mesh Pro here. We'll call this high scores button. So this button will show the high scores. Now, if the button is clicked, then it will show the high scores pop up. For this, I'll just rename it, and then I'll just change the content to high scores, like that, and then change the font to Oswald just to match everything. And then this one, we'll move it to the top right of the window. Okay, top right of the canvas rather. If you see sa canvas, it's over there. So we'll change this minus 100, okay, by minus 50. Maybe that's okay. Yeah, that's a good enough. Okay, so what we'll do is whenever we click on high scores here, we'll show the high scores pop up, and whenever we click on the X button here, we will close the high score pop up. Okay, so we'll create another script for that. So I'll create another script here, C# script. I'll name it High Score Manager. Okay, I don't really want to create another game object for this script, so I'll just stick its game manager itself. There, so our game manager has two scripts now. It has the game manager script and it has the high score manager script. But anyway, so for the high score manager, we want a reference to our call this panel. So serialize a field here, field private. So I'll tag it as a game object para pwede ito siya ma-set active easily. So this is high score panel. Okay, I won't do anything to start for now, but for update, I don't think we don't really need an update. So I'll just remove it. Other thing, we'll create a public void method here to show high scores. Oops. Show high scores. There. And then we also have another method to hide or close. No? Close high scores. So what we'll do here, so sa show high scores, we'll just get our high score panel. Actually, we should change H here to small letter H, so we don't confuse it with a class or a method. But what we'll do here is high score panel dot set active. So if we want to show it, so it should be active, so true, right? Okay, and then for close high scores, what we'll do is we'll just set active to false. So we'll just link this with the buttons through Unity actions. No? So we'll go back to Unity. Okay. So we'll fill up the panel first. So see panel, we'll just drag it here. There. Okay. And then for the buttons, so I'll go to high score button here under the button component. So I'll add a listener here, so on click. So whenever we click high scores button, so we'll go to our game manager object and then go to our high score manager script, and then we go show high scores there. And then for our close button, it's under our panel, right? So it's here, close button. So again, on the button component, we'll do add an action listener, and then game manager as well, because this is where the function is. And then from high score manager, we do close high scores. Okay, so if we click on play, so currently it's shown, right? So if we click on high scores, it's already shown, so it doesn't like close it. You can also do now when you click it again, it closes. But for now, if whenever you click at it, it just shows the panel. So if I click on X here, there it is disabled. So you see its hierarchy is also grayed out because it's disabled. So when I click on high scores again, there, you have it again. Okay. But anyway, so for this high scores, we don't really have any high score yet, right? So we'll do that next, right? So what we want this high score panel to be hidden at the start, and then when we play the game, here, so whenever we click on hard, this or hard or medium or easy, this button, high score button, should be invisible, and then you could just show it again when the game over screen is shown. Okay, so we could go to our game manager, script, and then similar with the text displays here, no? So we'll have I'll name this or I'll tag this as a game object as well para hapos siya or easier to set active. Is this high score button. Okay, and then whenever we start the game, we want to hide this. Set active false, and then whenever we display game over, this is shown again. There. So at the start of the game, like this, so it's visible. Right? You can show high scores. So show high scores, there's nothing yet there, so placeholder text, we can close it. So whenever we start the game, I didn't link it yet, sorry about that. So high scores button is here. So there, high score button. Okay, again, whenever I click on a difficulty here, say for example hard, there it disappears. So we don't click it whenever our game is running. Okay, so if this fruit falls, game over, and then high score button is up here again, and then yeah, show the high scores. Okay, next thing we'll do, so for now I'll hide difficulty text. We'll have an input text field sa game over screen, so we have the option to save our high score. There is, so see game over text, I'll set it as active for now. So we'll put our input text field here, no, sa game over text. So I'll create a UI input field text mesh pro here, and then, well, sa input field, so this is high score name input, for example, and then see high score name input, it has a text area which is just rect lang na siya, rect. And then it has two text mesh pros. So one here is a placeholder. So that's the placeholder text. You'll see it's enter text for here right now. So we could change this to enter name, something like that. And then we could also change the font for that. So ano siya? It matches with everything, as well as the alignment. Now you can change that. I'll leave it at that for now. And then the actual text, when you start typing on this input field, it's actually this game object, this text na game object. So we'll change this as well to Oswald to match everything. Okay. And then I'll change the name of this high score name, like that. This is where we will extract the information later on. Okay. So along with that, we'll also create a button here. Where is our button? Button. So this button is the save button. Okay, so we'll use this to save our high scores later. Okay. Save. Okay. So instead of button, we'll say save there. Change the font. Oswald. And then so high score name input will maybe negative 200 or too much, minus 150, minus 125, there, around there. And then we'll move its exposition minus 30, minus 50. Yeah, minus 50 seems good. And then for the save button, so minus 150, minus 125 as well. So aligned siya with our input field. So for the exposition, maybe 50. For the width, we can change this. Maybe 50. For right, 60. Position, we could further adjust this. There, 60. So my save button siya right there. Or maybe we could do 75, like that. And we could move our text area to around minus 30 or minus 35. Yeah, around there. Okay. So what we'll do is when we enter our name and when we click a save button, when we click the save button here, it will extract the name in here, and then it will also get the score. Okay. Well, we'll do a script sa high score manager na lang din. Sa high score na lang, high score manager na lang man, right? We'll do a public method here, public void, save high score. Okay? And then we'll link this save button later. But what we do sa save high score here, we'll first get the high score name. And then we'll also get the score or the high score, right? And then what we'll do here, very simple lang for now, is we'll just output it sa debug. We'll do the saving later. Okay, so I'll create two serialized fields here. I'll do a header first. I'll name this input texts. Okay, so one, we need a reference to our text mesh pro GUI for the name. So high score name. And then we also need a reference to our score. So well, the score, we already have score text, right? So we could do high score score. Yeah, kind of repetitive, but that's fine. And then I'll make two methods here, private na lang, so we don't use it outside. This returns a string. So one is get high score name, and then the other one is get high score get high score score. High score score. So for the name, it's easy, right? We'll just get the high score name here, and then we just extract the text. Okay, and we just return this. So return high score name text. For the score, this will have a bit more processing here. So I'll do a string variable here out. So this is the output. I'll just say output there. And we'll extract this from the score. Okay, but if we look at the score, So I'll return output here for now para wala siya errors. High score, the text. Okay? What we'll do, so may score kita, right? Score text. But the thing with score text here is may siya score nga string. We don't really want this because we want to record just the integer part. So what we'll do is, so output here will replace, output dot replace. So we'll replace the score na name here or na string, the substring, with an empty substring. So essentially we're just deleting it. And then we're returning that output. Okay, so we'll use it here. So I'll do string name is equal to get high score name. Okay, and then for the score, so string score get high score. There. Oh, what is this? Okay. There you go. And then we'll do what we'll do here for now. I-debug log ta lang siya, right? And then we'll do the saving later on. Okay? So their name plus score. Actually, we'll do something more. So debug name. And then this one is score. So like so. Plus there. So debug log lang siya na for now, right? When we click on a save high score. So si save, we have to link this. So si save button here, we'll link it the on click here with game manager and then high score manager under save high score there. Okay. So link na siya. And then for the game manager, we have to supply here sa high score manager, right? So high score name is from the input field. Where is it? Input field, this one, right? Not the placeholder, but the actual input. So high score name. And then for the score, then we have our score text. So hide this for now. See game over text. And then we'll show difficulty text. Okay. When we play this, okay. So we'll see the console output here. If I click on hard, bam, bam, bam. So we'll have a score of 5, for example. There. So game over. Okay, so if I write a name here, say Poi, and then I'll click on save. So you'll see there's a debug here, name is Poi, score is 5. So we will be saving that after. No? One thing though, another thing to note is when we click on save multiple times, then it's saving it sort of multiple times as well. So we don't really want that. We'll create a C# script here for the save button. Okay. We'll attach this to the save button itself. What we'll do is actually we'll just set the interactable part of our button. So this interactable part. We'll just set it to false whenever we click the button. Okay, so for this, sa start lang kita. We just need sa start, and then I need a reference to the button na component. So private button here. Button. Okay, and then sa start, we'll just say button equals get component button. So we're just getting the button component. And then we'll just add the listener here, right? Button dot on click that add listener. Now we can do another function here, or we can create another function or a method. But we could actually shorthand this with a lambda notation. So we could say empty, so nothing, right? No input, and then the lambda notation. So what we'll do is we'll just set the interactable part of our button. This one interactable. We'll just set that to false. So button dot set or that in interactable equals false. There. So we'll just make it uninteractable whenever we clicked it. And then we'll just attach this script to the button. There. Save button. Okay. You have to do this again because I did that in play mode. There. Save button siya. Own script. What is this? That's fine. So see button now. When we, I'll let that fall. So now, so when I go poi here, so score ko is -5, name ko is poi. So when I click on save, they're uninteractable na siya. So we can't save and save and save. But we could actually see it here sa debug, no? We have poi here with score -5. Now, so let's go on to the saving na part, no? So sa saving na part, we could actually have multiple approaches here. One approach is to use text files, no, or CSV files. So that's our sort of database. And then we could just extract it from the file, etc. But that you need file processing pa. The method I will be using is going to use player prefs. So if we search player prefs in Unity, so we have our description of player prefs here. So this is a class that stores player preferences between game sessions. So pwede siya na you play the game, you closed it, and then you want to keep those preferences to the next game session whenever you play the game next in a certain file, right? But this one, you don't need to create the file, no? Unity player prefs already do that for you, no? So Unity stores player prefs in a local registry without it. Well, note lang siya, wala siya encryption, okay? But you don't have to handle the file handling yourself, okay? So how you use player prefs is sort of like a dictionary. So sort of like a dictionary, you could have keys and values. So for example, you have get float. This returns a value corresponding to the key in the present in the preference file if it exists. So if it doesn't exist, it won't return anything. So sa string, for example, this is the one that we'll be using, no? Get string. So if we get a string and then we enter a key that doesn't exist yet, it will just return an empty string like that. Okay. We also have set string, no? Set string, set int, set float, and then that needs a key and a value as well. So we'll use this sa save, no? Sa save high score. So here we can say string. Before that, the format that I will be using here is two strings. One for the names and then one for the score. So for example, it's like this, no? We have name1 and then ang delimiter, the delimiter that I will be using will be the semicolon. So name1, name2, name3, and then semicolon like that. Tapos for the scores, you could have like 10, 15, -1, something like that, and it will be saved just like that, no? Two string siya, and then I'll just parse it. Mas split lang ko, and then I'll process it differently. Okay. So for that, first we get the name. So string names here, we'll get it from player prefs. So we could just call, no, player prefs. This is a static na function. Dot get string. And then we'll just key in the or input the key name here. So I'll decide that the key for the names is names with capital letter N. Now, if it doesn't exist yet, it will just return an empty string. But if it already exists, then it will return us the string that we have. Okay. For scores, so same thing. Now scores, and then scores here. Okay. So what I'll do, so if I have names and scores, no, I'll just attach or I'll just append our name and score sa current high score ta. So names here plus equals name tapos ang delimiter ta, which is a semicolon like that. So same thing with scores. So score here, scores. Tapos we'll just debug that for now, no? We'll debug that for now and see if it saves. So debug names. This one is scores. So names, scores. We'll remove this. Okay, so we'll see now if it works. Okay. All right. So click on hard here for now. Bam, bam, bam. So I'll score 3. And then game over. So I'll write here poi. And then click on save. So you will see actually, may nakita player preps from before. Because it says here poi, poi 2, poi 3, poi 4. And then another poi, which is the most recent na player, na high score that we saved. Tapos sa scores, we have this here 3. That's my current score. So if we want to remove all the player prefs, no, so we could just go to edit and then clear all player prefs. Then just yes. If I restart the game, I play again. I score 1, 2, 3, 4 this time, and then I'll let that pair fall. Okay. If I do poi 2 here, for example, and click on save, so isa na lang siya. So this is the first one, first debug, poi 2, score 4. And then for the names, we have poi 2, semicolon. And then for the score, that's wrong spelling actually, 4. There. So gaka-save siya. So if I do restart, and then medium, here, I'll score 1, 2, 3, 5 actually. And then I'll make it fall. So I'll say poi 3 ang name. Click on save. So gaka-save siya. Was it saved? No, it wasn't saved. Okay, problem. It wasn't saved because we did not save it. So to save it, you'll say player prefs dot save. So that should save our player prefs. Okay. Let me correct that first course. Okay, so hard. I'll let these drop. Okay, I'll let that drop. And then our name is poi 5. There, poi 5, score 6. Names is poi 5, score 6. We restart. Let's do medium this time. So I'll score 4. And then our name is poi, just simply poi. So if we click on save, it's not saving. Sorry. Okay. Sorry about that. We did not save it, or we did not save the preferences. So actually what we should do is player prefs that set string. So this is what I forgot. So sa set string, so first now is ang key. So ang key natin is names. Okay, names. And then the value is, well, the names na variable. And then for our scores, that will be our scores variable. Okay. Let's see if it works. Okay, click on hard. Click on one apple, let it fall. 2. So 2 ang score. Let's do point 2. Save. So point 2, score 2. Restart. Let's go easy this time. Score ko is 1. I'll name myself Poi1 here. Save. So there. Okay na siya, right? We have names Poi2, score ko is 2. Poi1, score ko is 1. So this is the just an example, no. You can structure it differently, no. Say for example, ang key mo is high scores, and then ang structure of your string would be something like name 1, comma, score 1, and then delimiter name 2, score 2, and then there. And then ikaw man bahala sa processing, right? Which we'll actually do sa after this. We'll do the processing. So for example, no, you have a lot of high scores already. We want to display that in the high score panel. So that's what we will do next. Okay. So okay. Okay. For this one, I'll create a script na sort of like I wouldn't really say structure, pero I'll create a list, no, that has high scores, and high scores have name and then score. So to create a script, wait lang, pause it. Okay, sorry about that. So we'll remove this. That's a mistake. Let's create a script for high score list. High score list. This one, however, we won't attach it to any game object. This will just be sort of like a class, no? I don't know if you remember Java. It's just OOP. So we don't want to extend mono behavior here because we want this to be a class of itself lang. If we are not using mono behavior, we won't use start and update as well. So high score list here will be just sort of like a list, no, where you can add a high score, and then you could also print all the contained high scores. Okay, so we could use some data like classes here. For example, you could use a dictionary. However, for the dictionary, you can't do one key and then or sorry, unique dapat ang keys. So for sa high score, what if you have the same name, no, but different scores? So we can't use a library for that. There are other ways like a lookup, but I'm not really sure how to use a lookup. Sa Python, you could do tuples. Or pwede man kita mag-over double or two-dimensional array. But what I'll do, instead of a two-dimensional array, is I'll actually create an object, so, or a class, no, high score class. So ang high score class, we will just have a public, no, not public, private string for the name, and then we'll have another private int for score. Okay, so if you remember, ang score later was not later, earlier was string, but I'm using int here. So I'm using int here because I will be ordering it later by score. I want it to be descending. The highest score at the top, and then next score is the second highest, third highest, etc. So it's easier to order it when we have int, no, as a property rather than a string. But anyway, we'll make getters here. Getter lang. We don't need setters for this. Ang setters will just make its constructor. So get return name here, and then we'll do another one, public score. So this should be int, and then return score. And then we'll create a constructor. So public. So for a constructor, diba dapat it should match the class name. So public score. And then we'll accept a name and a score. Okay. So this dot name equals the name input, and this dot score equals score. Right? Okay, so we'll be using this sa high score list. Okay, so we'll go sa high score list now. The first thing we'll do is we'll have a private list of high scores. So I'm using a list here because I will be rearranging, or I will be sorting this later on, and it's easier if it's a list. So I'll name this high scores, and then this will be new list of high scores, like that. Okay. Okay. So the first thing we'll do is we'll have a method to add to our high score. So add high score there. Now this one will have two strings. No, one string for the name. Sorry, I forgot. This should be void data type. So one for string name, one for string score. Right? So what we'll do here, okay, we'll create a new high score. So high score here, which pertains to this class. So we'll create an instance of this class. High score is new high score. Now our constructor requires a string and an int. So sa string, easy lang, this name will still be our name. But for the score, we want to parse this into int. So what I've seen is for C#, you do something like this, int32.parse. Okay, and then we'll just parse the score into an integer. And then, simply, we'll just add it to our high score list here. High scores.add high score. So that's how you would add high scores later on. Okay, but in cases where we already have high scores from player prefs, we want to have another method to populate the list. No, so this one I'll do public void populate list. So we'll be taking two strings here. So remember, no, ang pattern was one string for the list of names and one string for the list of scores. So string names and then comma string scores. Okay. So for this one, first thing we'll do is we will split those strings, and then the limiter is the semicolon. So string array here, names array is names.split. So sa delimiter, could indicate here semicolon. So same thing with scores, but this one should be scores array, right? Okay, and then we'll just go through it. So I'll just make a for loop here. If you have a different pattern or way to store high scores, then it would be different from this as well. Depende na lang na siya. So for loop int I equals 0 and I is less than names array. So we're expecting this to have the same length lang, no, names array and scores array. So while I is less than names array dot length, and then I'll do -1 here. I'll explain later after this. So I plus plus. So what we'll do is we'll just add high score, right? We'll just use add high score that we already coded above. Okay. String name. So name here would be from our names array. And then at that certain index. And then scores array also at that certain index. Okay. So why is it length minus 1? So ang aton delimiter, right, is semicolon. And what I did sa high score manager when we were saving it, I'm appending a semicolon regardless. So what happens is it will be something like this: name 1, comma name 2, comma name 3. And then not comma, semicolon, something like this. So if you split this sa semicolon, this will actually be a string array with 4 elements. So 1, 2, 3 is actually a string, and then element number 4 is actually an empty string. So we don't really want to record that empty string. So amo na siya naka -1 siya. There. All right. Lastly, we'll have another method here, public string to string. Now this method, we will use na, di ba we have a list of high scores. So we want to take that list and then what we'll do is we'll transform it into string, and then that string we will put it inside our high score panel. Okay, so first we'll do string output here, output as an empty string, and then that is what we will return later on. Return output. There. You will see my yellow underline here. So it says here hides inherited member of object.toString. So it's just telling us that if we are overriding toString, we should have an override keyword here. So we're just overriding the toString. No? Okay, here. So the first thing we'll do, we will rearrange the high scores, right? Or yeah. So what we'll do is we could use high scores dot order by. So order by, and then so this one accepts. So ano ang iyang tooltip? So it accepts. Where is it? A function high score, and then key selector. So we need a key selector. This one we could do a function to return a key selector, but we could actually just use a lambda function for this. So I here, for example, and then we will order it with I dot score. So this is a lambda function. Now I here pertains to the high scores or the high scores in the list. Now I dot score here will be the key that we will be ordering it, or not the key, the value or the parameter that we will be ordering it by, right? So we are ordering it by score. So I, and then we'll pass in I that score here. So it will return a key comparator no sa order by. But this one, si order by, returns I enumerable. This is not a list. So we'll have to do to list here. So it transforms back to list. Now this one is not hindi siya mutable. It's not self-referencing. So we have to re-reference this. So high scores equals high scores that order by that to list. So we're reassigning it to high scores. We'll also need to reverse this. So high scores, because ordering it by score, it will be by default ascending. So we want it to be descending order. So we want to reverse the order of this. High scores dot reverse reverse order, but that reverse lang. Okay. Oh, what does it said? What does it say? Ah, never mind. This one we don't need to return. Okay, it just reverses it. Okay, now that we've reversed it, we will add the strings, no, into our output. So for each, let's say for each here, high score and high scores, we'll just add it to our string, our output string plus equals high score dot name. So the name plus. So I want this to be separated by a tab. So slash t, like so, and then high score dot score, and then new line. Para next line naman siya. Right? So we'll do that for all the high scores that are already existing, and then we'll output that as a string. Okay. Now we'll link that with our high score manager. So sa high score manager, we'll create a private here, private high score list. So we'll be using that, no, high score list. Let's do high score list. That, and then to start, we'll just initialize this. So high score list is new high score list, like that. Okay, wait lang. And then we will load high scores. Load the high scores once, no, at the very start. This one we have not coded this method yet, so we'll do it now. So that's a private void load high scores. Oops. What we do with load high scores, wait lang. Okay, so simply we get the player prefs, right? So we'll get this, the player prefs, and then we'll forward this to high score list. High score list dot we had populate, right? Populate list, and then we'll just pass in names and scores here. So that will populate our list. So this happens once, no, at the start of the game, no, it populates the list, and then sa save high score, we also want to add the high scores to the list here. So high score list dot add high score with name and score. Okay, name and score. Okay. What we also want to do is sa high score manager, sa show high score. So whenever we show high score, we want the panel, or not the panel, the display, no, to reflect ang to string, right? But I don't have a reference for that right now, so we'll do it now. Okay. So here, we'll put a header here. Oops. Put a header here. Display. Okay, and then we'll get a TextMesh Pro UGUI. This is the content, no. So we do high score list panel. No, high score list display. Okay, and then what we do. So this is text. So whenever we show, we do high score list that display to string. Okay. And then we'll link it sa high score manager. Where is it? Game manager, high score manager. There. So this is the content, no? Because that is the target of our high scores. Anyway, so let's check, no? Hopefully there is no errors. Whenever we click on high scores, oops, it doesn't do that yet. Okay. Sorry. So high score list display dot text is equal to high score list dot toString. Okay, so remember our toString, the function, no? This gets all of the high scores make it into a string. So we'll just assign that or put that inside our display, which is some content, no, which is sa high score list. So okay, hopefully that works. So there, my high scores na ano, poi 2 to poi 1, 1 here. Okay. So you might find it na different here because I did something with the text. But if you ever find yourself na sa high scores here and then naga next line ang number, that may be because your tab length is too big. Okay, so let's see, for example, sa high score list display here, you could check the font asset. So you could double click the Oswald font asset here, and then we have this property tab width. So actually, if you expand this tab width, so 100, for example, our scores are over here. I think the default of this is around 127. So the first time I did this, it's in the next line. So I don't really want that. So I'll reduce this to around 50, and it looks like that. Okay. So whenever we do high scores, or when we play the game, click high scores. High scores are displayed. You can scroll through this, but there's not much to scroll yet. So I'll close this. So play the game. Oh, negative 10 ang akong score. And then game over. So I'll say poi 6 ako na name. If we click on high scores, it's not there yet. But if I click on save, that should be saved. So high scores. So here, poi 6 is there, negative 10. Okay. So yeah, high scores, it's already there. If I restart, I'll do hard. Let's try to score bigger this time. Our score is 7 for example. Then game over. I'll do poi 9 for example. So high scores currently, I didn't click save yet. Poi 2 is here. Poi 1 is 1. Poi 6 is negative 10. So our score is 7. So what we expect when we click on save, poi 9 will be here at the very top. So click on save. Save there. You'll see that sa debug man. And then high score, poi 9 here has a score of 7. Right? So if you click or like if you close it, in this case, I'll just get out of play mode. It should still retain, and we don't have to manually do the file processing for that, right? So if you click on high scores, it's still there. If you want to remove the player prefs for that, you could just go to edit and then clear all player prefs. So if I do clear all player prefs, I'll go back to play mode. So sa high scores, wala na, nothing na. Okay? So player prefs, no, can be used like this. You could do this for settings, no. If you have, for example, volume settings for your game in the future, so pwede na you have key mo is volume, and then it has a float value from 0 to 1. Or you could have, like in shooter games, right? You could have like sensitivity. You could have, yeah, difficulty, etc. So you can save it in player prefs. You don't have to do the what do you call this? File processing if you use a text file or a CSV, right? So key value pair na lang siya. So easier if you use player prefs. But anyway, that's it, no? We have high score list na. So I'll expecting you to use this for your games, no, in the future, as well as your MP4. Anyway, that's it.